Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 19, The Last Gauntlet, which is part of a 2-hour finale of the show, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was actually really good. I really enjoyed this one a lot. And this episode picks up where we left off at the end of episode 18, where we saw William get killed off by Lex Luthor after Andrea leaked his reports of Lex Luthor's diary about how he feels about Nixley. So this episode is the aftermath of William's death, and I thought this was really good. Some parts were a bit, I wouldn't say silly, but a little bit pointless and bland, but for the most part, I thought this episode was really good and really enjoyable, and we are one episode away now from the series finale, which is going to be, of course, episode 20. And as I mentioned already, these two episodes serve as a 2-hour series finale. So we've got part one and we've got part two. So, as we saw in the last episode, William, of course, was killed off, and Esme was kidnapped by Lex Luthor and Nixley, who are now working together as a power couple after Lex Luthor revealed that they ruled the entire universe in the future. So, this episode was more or less about getting all of the totems back and making an exchange with Lex Luthor and Nixley for Esme as a trade. And this was a race against the clock to try and get all of the totems back and, of course, get Esme back. And we saw the return of Lillian Luthor, Lex and Lena's mother, and we saw something very shocking happen to her towards the end, which I will get into in a moment. But by and large, I thought this episode was quite enjoyable. A couple of bits, as I said already, were just a bit pointless and I didn't really care much for, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this one a lot. I thought this was a very good episode. So, with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 19, The Last Gauntlet. So, this episode picks up where we left off at the end of episode 18, where Supergirl and her friends are shocked by William's murder and Esme's kidnapping when a recording of Lex Luthor begins to play as he tells them that Esme won't be harmed and he wants to make a trade. The 5 totems plus the one Supergirl has in exchange for Esme, and he wants them to meet them on essentially neutral ground, a bridge near the Fort Ross crash site, which we all remember from season 1, which is also declared to be a dead zone. So the Super Friends, if they don't make the exchange, Esme will die. So we see the team get into action trying to locate both Esme and the final totem, which is the Destiny totem, and Alex wants to get Lex and Nixley what they want, no matter the cost, in exchange for Esme. But Kara tries to talk her down and reassure that she will get Esme back no matter what. And at Lex and Nixley's hideout, Esme is distraught despite attempts to calm her down. However, when Nixley tries to activate the gauntlet for the love totem, it doesn't work and the totem itself starts to lose its petals. Lex wants to cut the totem out of Esme, but Nixley refuses to harm an innocent child. Who'd ever thought that Nixley would have a heart? Just shows you. She demands his word that he would never harm her. Andrea as Akarata enters the tower and encounters Lena, and Andrea reveals herself and insisting that she's a monster, and Lena tells her that she's going to do something about it. Lena tells her there's still time for her to be a better person, and in the med bay, Kara struggles with William's death and talks to Jean. Kara is ready to do whatever it takes to stop Lex and Nixley, and we see Jean Jones has fully supported her in this. At Lex's hideout, his mother Lillian shows up and she wants to know what his next move is, as he reports that the murder of William and kidnapping of Esme have gotten out. He tells her about how he's in love with Nixley, However, Lillian is not impressed and demands he drop Nixley for her family. In a shocking move, Lex chooses Nixley over her family, which is something you wouldn't expect Lex Luthor to do, and very un-Lex-like. Meanwhile, Nixley tries to win Esme's trust, and she again tries to activate the gauntlet, but the totem continues to lose petals. At the tower, Alex has a breakdown about her missing daughter, and Kelly reminds her of how much they love Esme, and they will get her back, whatever it takes. We then see Brainy fits Nia with a special gauntlet for the Dream Totem, when he gives her a pep talk about seeing the good, or the bad, or truth, and allows them to deal with things together. She brings Brain with her in the Dream Realm, and they locate the Destiny Totem, and they find out that it's in Prague, which turns out to be connected to the Fates, specifically Clotho. Kara activates the totem and faces the gauntlet, only for Alex to show up and take the totem from her. We then see the two sisters disagree over how to handle the situation, and Alex leaves with the totem. She also takes the others to pay the ransom. Lillian confronts Nixley, and she tries to plant seeds of doubt about Lex with Nixley, telling that Lex is just using her. Who'd ever thought that? Lex using someone? No chance. Brainy has a plan about how they might be able to stop the Allstone, and using a special solar satellite they can essentially supercharge Supergirl so that fifth dimensional magic would be useless against her. Now, I thought this was quite interesting because using the yellow sun radiation to recharge and supercharge, if you will, Supergirl to the point that magic would be useless against her was quite interesting, and I would have liked to have seen how that would have played out, but it didn't. However, it will also potentially be catastrophic to the Sun and thus life on Earth. Both options in this situation are potential global destruction. With time running out, Lex moves to get the love totem out of Esme. Nixley runs in as he cracks open the orb, and Nixley realizes that Lillian was right. Nixley's protection of Esme is what ultimately gets her the love totem, and Nixley takes Esme to get her family back and breaks up with Lex. Alex and Kelly go to the bridge backed by Nia and Lena, while Jean sets up the satellite to charge up Kara. The exchange happens on the bridge and all of the Allstones are formed. That's when Lillian and Lex show up to blow up the bridge. As Supergirl charges, the military shows up to stop her. However, Supergirl calls for everyone to shut it down before it's completely realizing that a power grab is what villains do. As the bridge remains, a fight breaks out between the heroes and Lex and Nixley as they all try to get the All-Stone in their possession. Esme ultimately grabs the stone and shatters it, with Supergirl, Nixley and Lex all getting a shard, with Nixley and Lex pitted against one another. Lena uses magic to try and stop them, but Lillian gets caught in Nixley's crossfire and is severely wounded. Lex and Nixley continue fighting as they transform into monsters while the world is drained of its elements the totem represented. Kara leaves the tower to think, and she hears someone telling people not to give up, and we see it's Orlando from the beginning of season 6. He's restoring hope, and then Kara comes to the conclusion that she knows exactly what she has to do. And that's how we end episode 19, and that wraps up my review. Overall, I thought this was a good solid episode. A couple of bits in there that were pointless and I didn't care much for, but by and large I thought this was a pretty decent episode and quite enjoyable as we gear towards the series finale of the show. And it's really hard to believe that Supergirl is actually coming to an end after 6 seasons, and I'm very interested to see how exactly all of this is going to pay off and how the show's going to end. So we shall definitely see what's going to happen next. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 19? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on Lex and Nixley turning on each other? Are you surprised? And also, what about Lillian getting caught in the crossfire? Do you think she will survive? And also, what about Supergirl supercharging herself? Do you think that was an interesting concept? And do you think that's something that could have maybe been played out for maybe some episodes if they had gone down that route? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. and I will see all of you next time for the final edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 20, which is part of the 2 hour series finale of the show. Let's see how this is going to end because I'm really interested to see that too. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, thanks for listening.